There it is. Okay, so you're gonna need a block, just one, and that chair. And we are going to work on some foot-specific training today. Also, some spinal work, trying to get into some kind of capsular training for your deepest tissues of your spine. That's when we'll be seated. And then we're going to finish up with some shoulder work from prone, from face down position. So let's go ahead and get started here by coming up to standing, which is going to help us feel into those feet. Okay, so as you come up to standing, you want to just start by sort of finding the sensation in the bottoms of your feet. So you really start to feel just how those soles of your feet are giving you information about balance and about contact with the floor. Okay. And you can maybe turn that up even more by just lifting your toes off the ground. Okay. And just finding how, oh, okay, I'm only going to feel into the floor with the parts of the feet that are still connected. Okay. And then I invite you, if you want to close your eyes, you can, or you can just look at a point on the floor for a second and just check in with yourself about what you're hoping to get done today in class. What's your intention for today's class? Good. Okay. Just naming that inside your head so that you're clear. And then keeping your eyes closed if you're up for it, start using your hands, bring them up to behind your ears, and just start feeling this really key part of your body right behind your ears, right as your skull becomes your neck, and just start rubbing into that area. And then let your hands travel to the back and side of your neck and under your head. Okay, and then let those hands travel now to your shoulders where your neck meets your torso. Good, and then out to the sides of your shoulders, onto your arms. Okay, and if you're continuing to keep your eyes closed, or if they're open, go ahead and close those eyes again so that you can start imagining, what if you had to map your whole body using just your hands? Okay, start letting your hands move in this way, where you're trying to sense like, oh, where are my boundaries of my body? But you're not using sight. You're letting touch take the wheel.
Sorry to join late, Will. Are we just massaging our body right now?
Yep. And also mapping. So just trying to feel maybe some of the areas of your body that are less clear to you sensation-wise. And that can just be heightened if your eyes are closed. So that's all. Okay. Take another minute here. And as you walk your hands around, tune back into your feet. And just notice how your feet are magically helping you stay balanced while your hands walk around your body. You might fold over, you might twist, but use your hands to sense into your body, mapping your body. So maybe on your neck, maybe on your arms. The reality is we know ourselves much less than we think from a sensation level. Last 30 seconds, play with fingertips, play with palm pressure, play with squeezing or grasping. Trying to touch your back. That's such a common area that's missing sensation. Good. Okay, and then wrap it up by making your way back up to your head and neck. And let that go. Awesome. All right. Now make your way now to the floor. We're going to work a lot more on the feet a little later, but come now to the floor, hands and knees. And we're going to work on some spinal articulation. So find that comfy quadruped setup for you. And then feel into your hands on the ground, making some nice solid pressure under those hands. Then meet that pressure with your feet pushing into the ground. however works for you. And then keeping those pressure points, start to curl your tailbone under and find that flexion in your lower back. Okay. Once you've found the lower back flexion, keep it and start moving into your mid back, and then your upper back, and then finally feel that awareness into the neck area. So the whole back side of your body is fully rounded over. Good. And notice the sensation of stretch, but also the sensation of contraction on the front of your body, and turn up that contraction. And then let's start lifting the chin away from the neck, but you're keeping the contraction in the front of your torso. Lifting that chin as much as you can. Then allow that chin to keep lifting by allowing motion in your uppermost portion of your ribs, keeping your tailbone curled under, and then stretching your sternum out, and then the rest of your ribs, and then finally reaching your belly button forward and lifting your tailbone. Just hold there for a moment and feel contraction in your back. Good. And then start pulling your chin into your neck. So it's just the skull moving, and then the rest of your neck. And just noticing, is there a tendency for your body to try to move through this and get this done? If so, just interrogate that a little bit. Why are we rushing? Where's that need come from? And instead, can you just slow it down through those parts that are less clear? Good. Once you get all the way flexed, turn up that contraction on the front of your body more. Start moving your chin up. And same thing here. Go slowly enough that you can notice where your body is trying to speed up. And you can just ask it to linger. Get more information. Feel into those blind areas. Really nice. Keep going, keep going. Last 10 seconds or so, moving at your pace, finishing up your motion in either direction. Good. And let that go. All right. Go ahead, coming now onto your back, laying on the floor on your back. And we're going to go back into sort of going by feel mode here a little bit. So not so much a car yet, but start with your knees bent and your feet flat on the ground. Okay. And then you could walk your hands onto your pelvis or keep them on the ground, and they can move as we go here. So just use your hands as needed and start to feel your pelvis tilting, belt buckle to nose, belt buckle away from nose. So it's really just the pelvis turning. Okay. And then let that motion now expand. So now instead of just tilting, you could also turn it right to left. Yeah. You could also hike your right side up to your armpit or your left side up to your armpit. Good. And maybe you could imagine drawing a little circle with your tailbone. What would that feel like? What joints and tissues would get pulled into action? What edges would you feel? Good. Changing the direction. Good. Now let this going by feel motion expand now to let your knees move side to side. So your feet are pushing separately or independently on the floor. And the goal is to go by feel of stretch now. So use all these variables to find some stretch in your back, in your hips. We're not going to stay in those stretches, but we're just going to search them out. We're going to look for tension. Start letting your upper body move more freely, including your arms now reaching maybe to the sky, maybe overhead. Good. The only task is to find lines of tension in your body now. Let that motion expand however your body guides you to. Go by feel and find those lines of tension. Good. Last 30 seconds, try to reach just a little bit further into those lines of tension. Good. When you find an edge, can you linger? Can you reach into it? Can you find a muscular active way of increasing the stretch? Very nice. A few more seconds here. Good. Gradually slow down and calm down your movement until you're laying flat on your back again and your knees are bent. Good. Very nice. Okay, so just turn up what you're aware of. Now use that awareness to make your rib cage and lower back heavy into the floor. Okay, you might find that by tilting your belt buckle nose towards your nose. And then also blow all of your air out of your body so you feel your ribs collapse down to the ground. All right, now reach your right leg up towards the ceiling. Lock your knee out so you feel your kneecap pulled up your thigh. Okay, now keep that kneecap pulled up your thigh and go gas pedal up with your ankle. We're going to do an ankle car from here. Okay, don't let your thigh turn as you start to reach the toes out to the side, out to the right. And then pointing those toes up in the direction of your leg and then in towards your other leg. And then again, gas pedal up. Good, go the other way. Toes go towards your other leg. Point the toes away. Keep going, toes out to the side and gas pedal up. Give me 30 more seconds of this. Make sure your kneecap is pulled up, but we're going back and forth with that ankle car. Good. You should feel work in that quad, pulling your kneecap up. Also in your hip crease, pulling that thigh to belly. And of course, in all the muscles around your ankle, moving your foot around. 10 more seconds. And relax that leg down. Nice. Okay, take a breath. Make sure your lower back is again connected to the floor. Blow the air out of your body so you get those ribs to pull down. Keep that active feel as your left leg now goes up to the sky. Feel what it takes to pull your kneecap up your thigh, knowing that you might need to change the angle of your leg in order to find the position where you can find active quad. Okay, that's the angle for you. Then start going gas pedal up with your toe. Start to rotate toes out away from your body, pointing the toes in towards your other leg, and then gas pedal up again, and then go the other way. Realize the goal here is to feel contraction, not just to move your foot around. So if there's any angles where you lose that sensation of contraction, that's a spot to pause and find what muscles would pull your toe into that angle. Thirty more seconds, keeping that quad working, that hip crease working. Breathing around braced midsection. Good. Expanding that range at your ankle for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bueno. All right. Go ahead, roll onto your side. It doesn't matter which side. Okay. And then make sure you have a block, because that block is going to be either underneath your knee on this top leg or under your head. Okay. So if you don't have a block, it's not terrible, but straighten out your bottom leg, and then bend that top knee in front of your belly button or as high as you can get so that you're above the pelvis line. Go ahead and straighten out your bottom leg. Good. Okay. Yeah, you can put it there. Or let's say we didn't have a block. Let me move the block. You could put your knee on the ground. The main thing is we're trying to block your pelvis and your hip here onto the floor so that you feel that there's no motion available there. Okay, and that'll make a little more sense in a second. Okay, now make that knee heavy, actively heavy into the ground, and reach your top arm out in front of you and really reach. So we're going to let the spine move to see how much can you actually, like how far can you reach in front of you. Good. And then start reaching up overhead and feel how your spine can help you do that. So really finish reaching over your head, letting your sternum turn towards the sky. And then as you reach behind you as much as you can, feel your sternum turn towards the sky to help you, but don't let your knee off the ground or off the block. If you run into things behind you, that's okay. Okay, and then once you get to your hip, you're going to go back the other way. So we are moving from the shoulder, but you're also allowing motion at your spine. So you're letting your spine turn to help you reach further. Good, reaching overhead. Reaching out in front of you. Good. Okay, speed up the pace a little bit on this next one so you can feel it as a global circular movement. Going one way and then going the other way. Going by feel. Good. Finding those lines of tension again. Good. Last one. Trying to let your spine in on this action of reaching. Okay, and then everyone settle into a side lying position, again, facing in the direction of your torso, your pelvis rather. Good, okay? And then reach that arm straight out in front of you, but now don't let your spine turn. So you're gonna keep yourself square ahead. You reach that arm out in front of you, and then start cutting the arm across your body until maybe it hits the floor, and we get a chest contraction. So now we're gonna move into the shoulder car, okay? Start reaching the arm overhead, keeping your elbows straight, reaching as high overhead as you can, but not letting your torso turn. When you can't reach any further overhead, twist that arm, bringing out internal rotation, and then starting to reach behind you with that rotation. More and more twist, reaching further and further back until your wrist gets to your pocket. Good. Then once you're at your pocket, go ahead and go straight back. Externally rotate when you hit your sticky point. And then keep externally rotating as you reach back behind, up overhead, and then across your body again. Good. Turn up the intensity for just one more rep. Try to feel more contraction in your chest and then in your shoulder. And then at the back of your shoulder, as you reach and rotate. Twisting, twisting, twisting. There you go, CJ. Just finding different angles to work from, but keep working for contraction. So you're trying to find that active effort. Finishing up that rep on your own. Nice, Chrisanne. Finding the contraction, especially in those zones where your body wants to move fast. Awesome. Okay, flip on over once you're done with that car. Let's get the same thing going on the other side. Okay, so on this side, remember, we're going to start with that knee on the floor or on a block out in front of you. So if you had a block, top knee, yeah, the block would be just right out in front of you. Okay, so that you can pin it to the ground. If you didn't have a block, that's fine. It could be into the floor, but make sure that knee is as up towards your chest as you kind of can so that it's going to block rotation in your lower back. Okay, And then start going by feel. As soon as you're here, pin that knee, reach as far as you can in front of you, meaning use your spine. And then start to reach overhead, use your shoulder blade, really shrug and reach further. And then let your torso twist as you reach up and behind you. Going by feel. Good. Letting your spine twist as you go back and forth. Now, I can't emphasize enough, there's not a wrong way to do this because the goal is just to go into the stretches or the positions that feel good. So go slowly enough that you can notice them. Feel free to breathe at any of those lines that feel really stretchy and juicy. But you're just offering your body what it might want. Good. Take your time. Next time your arm gets out in front of your body, kind of settle in there, and we will start up our shoulder cars. Okay, so now keeping your torso totally still, cut that arm across, maybe punching into the floor so you feel your chest, and then start to sweep that arm up overhead, keeping your elbow locked. When you can't get any further up overhead, start to internally rotate that arm. Use the rotation to reach behind you. Locate those contractions in the back of your shoulder. Good. Once you get to your hip, keep that elbow straight, go straight back behind. Externally rotate through that sticky spot. And then keep externally rotating as you reach back, up, around, and across. Good. Second rep, find your chest. Clearly feel that area contract. And feel that contraction move. Feeling where your elbow might try to bend and you're not going to let it. Bringing it out. Good. Finding those contractions as you finish up this second rep. Awesome. Okay. Once you're done with that, let's come up to seated here so we can do a little work for the feet and build that. So come up to a seated position in a chair. Okay, so make sure you have that chair or that little seated setup. If you're wearing socks too, you might want to take your socks off. All right, and once you're seated, start playing with just gas pedal up feeling. So both feet at the same time is fine to find gas pedal up. And just turning on those front of shins. We're going to be focusing on your feet, but your ankles are next door neighbors, so they're going to be part of this for sure. Okay. Good. All right. Now, next time you lift your feet up into gas pedal up, hold that contraction and notice where that contraction is working from in the front of your shins. Keep that work happening. Start rounding your toes around without losing that front of shin so that you're trying to scrunch up the bottom of your feet as much as you can. So your toes are rounding towards the floor, almost like you're trying to pick something up off the floor, but your shins are still on. Okay. Notice that contraction in the bottom of your feet, and then set your feet down or your toes down right below where they are. Yeah. Okay. So you're still rounded through your bottoms of your foot. All right. Now I want you to walk your heels back towards the chair, keeping that bottom of your foot until you feel like you could barely get your toes off the ground if we were to go gas pedal up. So you're still rounding the bottom of your feet, but you're trying to feel barely where you can get your toes off the ground. Okay. Now we'll hone in on that position more and more, but you want to be in a spot where gas pedal up barely gets your toes off the ground. Okay. Now keep gas pedal up and start lifting those toes as well up to the knees. So you're trying to stretch the bottoms of your feet, and then keep gas pedal strong as you start curling those toes back under. Good. And the key here as you go back and forth is that if your toes hit the ground when you start to curl them, you know you've lost some gas pedal up. You've lost some dorsiflexion in your ankle. Okay. Lots going on in your shins, yeah? Okay, try to match that contraction in your shins with contraction in the bottoms of your feet. Last couple here, we're trying to burn out your shins, burn out your feet. Good, and relax, very nice, okay? Just for a second now, point those toes, reach them away from you, so we can try to find the bottoms of your feet now in plantar flexion. So try to push those toes down to the ground. Use that pressure to try to lift your heels, and maybe flirt with a cramp in the bottoms of your feet. If you don't feel that, just make your toes heavier and heavier into the ground. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, heavier toes, 3, more rounding, more plantar flexion, 2, 1, and relax. Nice. Okay, so we spice up those feet and those ankles. Now come up to standing, and you won't need your chair for a bit, so just set it off to the side. Okay, and you're going to step your right foot forward. Okay, and this is just gonna give us a nice angle to work on one ankle at a time. And actually, I'm gonna have you kind of go turn out your foot just a little bit, because that will help us feel into this motion of the ankle. Okay, and then really straighten out that front leg and feel that your body weight is actually on your back leg. So it's almost like you're reaching your front foot out in front of you. I think this is maybe a dance position, ballet position, maybe. Okay, maybe Marley can tell us more later. All right, so from here, what I want you to feel first is just how you can roll the arch of your foot in towards the ground. And then you can roll that arch of your foot away from the ground. Now, at some point when you start rolling away, the ball of your foot's going to come off the ground, and we don't want to go that far. So roll that arch back down to the floor. And then this time, when you start to roll the arch away, pause before the ball of your foot comes off the ground. Okay? Keep going back and forth. That's the motion that we're doing here. That's the whole bit of it. But now we're just going to try to feel into the contractions and the joints that are at play here. So if the ball of your foot is heavy, then we have some major contraction going on in the arch all the way up into the calf. So keep that ball of your foot heavy, whether you're rolling in or you're rolling out. And then notice how your ankle is rotating to roll that arch in. It's rotating outward to pick that arch up. Notice that that rotation of your ankle is happening from your hip because your leg is straight. Okay? Last 30 seconds, can you turn up the rotation of your hip and therefore the rotation of your ankle without losing the heavy ball of your foot? Try to maximize that rotation for just another 15 seconds. Collapsing your arch as much as you can, and then picking up that arch as much as you can. 3, 2, 1. Good. Relax that. Step that leg back. Now you're going to be standing on your other leg and reach your what was your standing leg forward. Okay. So rotate that leg just a little bit into external rotation so that the toe's out a little bit. Make the ball of your foot heavy.
But most of your weight's on the back leg. Right?
Yeah, all your body weight really is on your back leg. So making that ball of your foot heavy should feel like something in your calf, not a shift in your body weight. Okay. Then keeping the ball of your foot heavy, collapse your arch towards the ground. That might not make any sense to you at first, so just try and then see if you can lock onto what actually is moving in your ankle. Then as you pick up that arch, feel what's moving in your ankle the other way. back and forth here, getting a sense of, this is literally a pronation and supination of your arch. If you've ever been told you're like an overpronator or oversupinator when you're going to buy new running shoes, this is the sort of dynamics that we're talking about with supination and pronation of your foot. Okay, feeling what's happening at your hip, but keeping your body weight on that back leg. And maybe feeling some cramping going on in your arch as you pick up that arch. Again, making sure the ball of your foot stays heavy. Last 10 seconds, trying to lock in. What is creating that motion? Okay, and relax that. Now go back to your first side. Okay, a little bit of a turnout, doesn't have to be huge. Yeah, not too much. Okay, and then take a second before we do the second set and lift your toes up off the ground. Okay, just try that a couple times. It's not always the most obvious thing to lift all your toes, but the key here actually is when your toes are lifted, then can you make the ball of your foot heavier? Yeah, you can see Debbie was already trying to peel up, and then I just helped her find, no, the whole ball of the foot needs to get heavy into the ground. Once you feel that, lock onto that. Don't let that change. Don't let your toes drop, actually. Keep your toes up. And let's do this same rolling drill that we were doing before, but now with the toes lifted. Yes, so the ankle rolls in to collapse the arch. The ankle rolls out to lift the arch. It might be much smaller motion now because that ball of your foot is anchored even heavier. Can you try to fatigue some tissues in your arch and in your ankle? Nice, nice, Diana, good. Finding the motion of your arch. Finding the twist in your hip that results in a twist in your ankle. Feeling what a collapsed arch really might feel like if you're more of a higher arched person. Last 10 seconds. And relax that. Good. Other leg forward. Nice. Okay. So feeling your weight on the back foot, make the ball of the foot heavy on this front leg by lifting the toes and just sensing it to pressure with that ball of your foot. Once you lock onto that, start the motion of collapsing your arch and then lifting your arch, trying to feel what is contracting to do that motion. Even if the motion's very small, keep those toes lifted. Yep. Yeah. If you remember from a week or so back when we were working on big toe adduction, that's a lot has to do with keeping the ball of your foot heavy, learning what muscle does that. There you go. Good. 15 more seconds, trying to twist from the hip so that you get a motion at the ankle that results in your arch lifting. Good. Not letting those toes come back to the ground. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay. Now standing tall on both feet. Last little piece here for your feet. Go ahead and lift the toes up on that first side, and then feeling into the tripod of your feet. So the ball of your foot's one, but then the sort of the ball of your pinky toe, if you can think of it that way, that's the second tripod point on the bottom of your foot, and then your heel. Okay, so those 3 points, zoom into those with your mind's eye, and then slowly lift your other foot off the ground so that it's there if you need it for a little balance, but really you're using the tripod of that standing foot to help you. Turn that signal up all the way and start letting the other leg and your arms move. Let them float around so that you're not holding your balance, but you're sort of moving or dancing your balance. Good. You're not trying to move your arms and legs in any way. You're just letting them float to help you maintain balance on that tripod with the toes up. Exploring, okay, what kind of movement is available to allow me to keep that balance? And now start inviting motion into the standing leg as well. The knee, but also the hip. Can you jog that or hike that hip up or down? Good. A few more seconds on this side, moving to maintain your balance. Good. And now shift onto the other foot. Toes up, feel the tripod points. Start letting the arms and leg move, letting it be very smooth, and always having the other foot there to catch you if you need it. Just a little motion in your arms. There you go. It's a myth that holding our balance is easier than moving with our balance. The motion really helps your brain orient. Good. If you need to go out back to the first leg, you can, but try to build a little fatigue in that tripod foot, that tripod leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax. Good. Okay. Who's feeling some work just from balancing with the toes up? Yes. Okay. So we're going to do one more set on each side for that balance. But if you're wanting to turn things up, now I want you to move your arms and legs in a way that is almost trying to pull you off balance so you can feel that recovery of balance. Okay. On the other hand, if that felt like some good work for you, you could just stay with what we were just doing. Okay. So back to the first leg, toes up, feel the tripod, start moving and floating your arms and legs, and then start expanding the size of those movements, changing the speeds of those movements. So now you're trying to feel, okay, what really would pull me off balance? If you lose your balance, no problem. Just come back onto that foot and start trying to feel your edges here. Toes stay off the ground, tuned into the bottom of your foot. Nice, Priya. Yes, CJ. Great, Chris-Ann. Playing with it. 10 more seconds. Play with the speed. Yeah. What would it look like to throw yourself off balance but keep your balance? And switch to the other leg. Okay. Maybe this other leg is very different than the first leg, so start fresh. Toes are up. Tripod foot. Good. Moving, inviting motion, but staying in constant connection with the bottom of your foot. Trying to throw yourself off balance. If you're feeling stable on that foot, challenge your edges a little bit. 10 more seconds. Three, 2, 1, and relax. Awesome. So going by feel now to find some challenge. Great stuff. All right. Now come back to seated for our final work on the chair, just for a little spinal input. Sitting right at the front edge of your chair, so the back of your chair is not limiting you. Okay. And then getting your feet flat on the ground. Okay. And then hands are going to start on your thighs, and just use those hands on thighs to create a little pressure and a little action in your arms and upper body, and start curling your tailbone under. And your goal here is to round your lower back, to find flexion in your lower back. Okay. As soon as you find that tailbone curling under, you might also start finding some rounding forward of your shoulders. And you might even slide your hands forward a little bit, because I want you to really settle into the most amount of rounding or flexion in your lower back that you can. And then just take some deep breaths. Inhale into that stretch in your lower back. Exhale, try to feel hand pressure and rounding further. into that flexion shape. Breathing and trying to lengthen into the back of your lower back. Couple more breaths. Good. Okay. Now, you can turn down the intensity, but stay in that position and just step your feet a little bit wider than your hips apart. Okay. So that now you can take your right hand and start reaching under your left thigh. So you're going to reach under your opposite thigh. So you get an active reach to the floor and feel if that helps you find a stretch into your lower back, but now on the far side. So if you're reaching with your right hand, you're going to feel it on the right side, or that's where you're looking for. Okay, and then come back upright and reach the left hand under the right thigh. Good. Finding that stretch and then back up. Okay, before you go back to the other side, just try to find more pelvis curl under. So you don't lose that tilt from the pelvis as you slowly start to reach. Good, that's plenty. So you don't want to fold too far at the head. And then come back to center and back to the other side. So as you reach, keep reaching back and forth. You might have to modify that reach slightly so that your goal is to open up the stretch in your lower back. Really go by feel. This is partly why I started with so much going by feel work. It's because this is one of those that it's so specific to your back that I can't actually just give you the cues to get into that stretch. Maybe you need to think more tailbone curl. Maybe you need to think more rounding around a ball with the front of your body. Maybe you need to reach more to the side and less to the ground. But either way, I want you to hone closer and closer to that rounding, stretching shape that you need in your lower back. Last 20 seconds, try to make it more muscly. So you're reaching to that stretch and you're just turning up that intensity a little bit. Last 10 seconds. Good. Okay, now square up to center. Now, if you can find that stretch into one direction, you're gonna, that's all good, Diana. Okay, you're gonna wrap both hands around one thigh. So go ahead and reach, let's say, to your right. Feet will stay apart just where they were. Okay, and then without collapsing all the way around or all the way forward, just wrap the hands around the back of the thigh, kind of like that or like that, whatever you need. And then start pulling up with your arms, but also feel that your back area is working to try to pull that thigh up. Okay, so we're trying to find like a PAILs rails type setup, a contraction of the area that you were just stretching. So take a few seconds here and see, can you curl the tailbone under? Can you pull slightly differently to try to feel that the work of coming upright is coming from that back area where we were stretching. If you think you're close, breathe into that area and see if that helps you clarify it further. Good. If you're really confident you're on the right spot, turn it up more by pulling harder with the arms. If you're not clear on the spot, then keep the intensity low and just focus on finding that stretch with your breath. Good. 20 more seconds. Pulling gently or more intensely, up to you. Good. Slowly melt away that pull. Come upright, and we're going to do the same pull on the other side. Okay, so turning to your other direction, wrap your hands up under your thigh, either linking the fingers, and you probably want to get your hands pretty close to your knee. Okay, that'll help now as you start trying to round and pull with your arms. Remember, it's not about how hard you can pull, it's about how specific can you get a contraction into your lower back. Okay, curling your tailbone. Imagine rounding around a bowling ball or a stability ball, something round. Okay, and then I invite you to turn up the intensity of that pull if that feels good, if that feels clear, or just using your inhaling into your back to target that stretching area. Breathing, pulling, 10 more seconds. And relax. Okay, good. Now sit up nice and tall. And what we were just trying to do of opening up a little space and then training in that space, maybe has opened some new possibilities for motion in your spine. So if you have a block, go ahead and squeeze that between the thighs. Give yourself a big hug as high up on your torso as you can. Good. And then really strong with the hug. Walk those fingers around. So you're locking down your arms. And then start to round your spine forward into flexion. So we get back into that rounded shape in your lower back, but now also your upper back and neck. Good. Okay. Now, keeping forward flexion, let's just feel rotation from here. So start twisting to the left or the right, either way. But before you start tipping backward, just go back forward into flexion again. And then rotate the other direction. And then back forward into flexion. Keep going back and forth here, trying to feel rotation as much as you can while staying rounded forward. So we're working on flexion plus rotation. Can you find more flexion? Can you keep it and find more rotation? Good. Now, next time you center up to your spine, pause there. Make sure the block's still squeezed and just sit up tall with your spine. Okay, keep that hug and then start to extend your spine. So lift your sternum up into your arms. You don't have to tip your chin back so that the neck's not part of it, but then also reach your belly button forward. So it's not just that you're falling backwards, but that you're arching your spine forward as much as you can. And then from here, start twisting one way and the other. But every time you come back through center, can you find more clear extension? Active through the lower back, active through the mid back, active through the upper back. So you're not leaning back so much as arching your spine. Last couple. Then come into that center position and relax into a tall position. Okay, now we got to link those spots together. Take a break with your arm, just shake them out, take a breather. And then when you're ready, big hug for this final set here. Nice strong hug. Nice squeeze of the block. Round forward into flexion. No need to segment, just get all the way into flexion. Find that rounded shape. Again, not leaning back, but finding a rounding flexion shape. Okay, now let's all move together. Start twisting to the right as far as you can. When you run out, start allowing your spine to come upright, but keep twisting, keep twisting. Good, so now you're using that twist and using the extension to start moving into the extension zone. And then once your sternum is up towards the ceiling, start twisting over to the other side, twisting as far as you can. And then feel that as you continue twisting, your shoulders are going to start coming forward. And then round into flexion, coming back to where we started. Okay, so facing towards your block. Now twist the other way. Twist back, rotating to that left. Keep rotating to the left as your shoulders start coming up. Lifting your sternum to the sky. Twisting off to the right. Letting that twist to the right continue forward into flexion. And then stay rounded towards your block. Blow all your air out and try to find more contraction in the front of your body. That's our closing side tension. Track that tension as you start to twist to your right, to do another rep to the right. Feel that contraction move to the right side of your body. Turn that contraction up if you can as it continues moving to the side of your body, to the back right, and then to the middle of your back, pulling you into extension, and then to the left side, tracking that tension onto the whole side of your left body, your torso, and then more to the front of your left, and then right in the front of your body. Stay with me, breathe all the air out. Let's finish this off to the left now. Twisting to the left, feeling the tension move to the left side. And keep that tension moving as your spine gets taller and you keep twisting, twisting, using that twist to get into extension. And then twisting off to the right. And then finishing that twist forward into flexion. We're trying to bring contraction awareness to all these nooks and crannies. And once you're square ahead, relax. Whew. Very nice. Lots going on there. Okay. Let's finish up as promised with a little bit of input for your shoulders into external rotation. So clear the chair out of the way. And we're going to come down into a face down position. Make sure that you have your yoga block nearby. Okay. I hope y'all are hearing all the birdies that are out in the yard here. They're very loud. And I hope they're coming through, maybe. Okay.
Springtime.
Springtime. Okay. So you're going to rest your forehead on your right arm and then bring your left arm out to the side. Okay. And then you're going to bend that left arm. So bend the elbow. Okay. And then tuck your elbow right into your side of your body. So I call this short cactus because it's sort of like you're making the shape of a little cactus coming out the side of your torso. Okay. Then once you're there, you're just going to feel into this position a little bit. So notice, is your back really arching hard? If so, can you let it go? Okay. Also, can you let your chest be heavier into the ground? There we go. And then can you feel your shoulder blade pulling back onto your ribs, opening your chest, and then off your ribs? Just feel that there's some variability in that shoulder blade. Okay. Okay, now next time you open your chest up and you pull that shoulder blade back.
Oh, sorry, Will, can you explain? I didn't get the location of what you want us to do with the left arm.
Elbow into body.
Uh-huh.
90 degrees. So you'd look like this, but face down.
Okay. And it should be neutral, not rotated in either direction.
It's extremely externally rotated here already, just by the nature of the floor. Yep. So then with that chest open here, start playing with lifting your wrist off the ground, which would result in more rotation of the shoulder, and then lower that wrist to the ground. Back and forth here, trying to feel what muscles in the back of the armpit are working to actually lift your wrist. Good. A couple more. I'm trying to feel that rotation right in the back of that shoulder. Good. Then set that down and switch to the other arm. So now you have that left arm under your head, right arm out to the side. Okay, so your elbow's right into your body. Your back is relaxed. Good. And then you're working on opening your chest up by pulling that shoulder blade back, but keeping your wrist on the ground. Chest heavy. Keeping the wrist on the ground, just feeling the shoulder blade motion. Pulling back and sliding forward. Good. On your next time of pulling that shoulder blade back, hold it, and then start lifting the wrist and feel that this is an external rotation for your shoulder, for your deep shoulder tissue. That elbow staying pinned to your body, but just the upper arm is twisting. Last couple. Good. Okay, set that down. Go back to the first side. Debbie's going back and forth so you guys can see what's happening here if you need to. Okay, back to that first side. Same setup as before. Elbow into body. Try to now make your chest heavy towards the floor so you're not arching your back at all. And then keeping your wrist on the ground, make a fist with that hand. Open your chest. So you're pulling your shoulder blade back. You're opening your chest actively, but you're not using your lower back. Okay, and then keep that position and start making your fist heavier and heavier into the ground. Try to feel that that heavy fist is the result of trying to twist your shoulder. You're not making your elbow heavier into the ground. You're making that fist heavier into the ground. Nope, elbow's not on the ground. Okay, so trying to make that fist heavier and heavier, clarifying that twisting torque ask on the joint, and then keep your body braced and switch over to making that fist light and maybe lifting it off. If you can lift it, just try to rotate that wrist almost behind your elbow, behind your back. Can you maximize the contraction in the back of your shoulder for 10 more seconds? 5, 4, 3, 2, and slowly relax. Good. And let's get the same dealio on the other side. Okay, resting your forehead and then elbow into body. Start with that fist on the ground and open the shoulder or open the chest up by pulling that shoulder blade back. Okay, so when you open the chest up, that doesn't mean arch your back to lift your chest. Actually, the opposite. I want your chest to be heavier. Good. And then once you feel like your shoulder blade's back, start pinning your fist down into the ground. Feeling that the arm would rotate if the floor was not in the way. Really trying to clarify that rotation. Ramp it up, 5 more seconds, heavy fist. And then transition over to trying to make that fist light, keeping the shoulder blade back, twisting the upper arm, trying to feel what's working right at that back corner of your armpit to twist your shoulder here. Rotation, rotation, rotation. Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, and relax it down. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there, y'all, so you can peel yourself up off the ground. Give yourself a little pat on the back. Very nice job.